All right, all right, we'll get going then with the talk for it.
Yep.
Okay, so it was UFC 268 at the
Yep.
weekend, and it opened up with Edmen Shahbazyan and Nassourdine Imavov. And now on my betting slip, I did put Edmen. This was on like the long list.
Yep.
He wasn't on my out of 10 where I lost one fight, which was really going. But I thought he'd have enough to beat Imavov because I think Imavov, it was a tough fight for him against Bronson, obviously, but he's so impressive when he fought Ian Heinisch. And he's really coming into his own now. He's obviously a very elite striker, but I thought Edmen was an elite striker. And I think I've been fed the, not the lies, but the promotional propaganda for Edmen a little too much. He's definitely got something in him. He's definitely there. Like he's worthy of the UFC standard, definitely. He's just not a top 10 fighter. And it did show in this fight, but what would you make of Imavov?
Yeah, no, I think we kind of all fell into the trap of Edmen, and it wasn't our fault. Like he was literally thrown to the wolves, like fought Derek Brunson, and then his next fight was Jack Hermanson.
Yeah.
We're talking about like the best of the best in the division, and then he gets like, this was supposed to be like his like recovery fight, and he gets an absolute killer in Imavov, and that was tough for him. That was tough to watch because I did bet on Edmen as well, and Imavov just as a striker, he's almost on an elite level. Like Edmen is very good, but Imavov was just one step ahead the whole time, and he's very dangerous. He really is.
Yeah. Yeah, and he did get cut as well. And I was like, when did Edmen crack him with that? And it turned out it was an eye poke. Like that. It just slit his eye right open. That was nasty. But yeah, you can completely see that he's like at the stage Edmen was last year. He's probably going to be pushed with that hype now because the dude is awesome. He's so good. And he can defend a takedown really well. Edmen, obviously he's been working in wrestling with AKA, but he was doing so many things. DC was saying in the commentary that he was just leaving his head in the wrong position when you're going for a high crotch, and he should have been going low for a single leg because he's just falling into guillotine after guillotine after guillotine. And it was just rookie errors, man, over and over. And after the second one, I was like, is he going to learn? And then he didn't. It was just absolute dog in him to get out of these by rolling. Like, I'm sure that Imavov showed that he's also a very good grappler. From these sort of guys that, you think Imavov, you think that kind of name, you think wrestler, but he's not. So it is scary, isn't it? Seeing him not decimate, but close to someone like up and comer like Edmen.
Yeah, and Edmen's a super young guy too, so like he's not going anywhere. Like he'll be around, he'll continue to learn. It's just, and he's getting like such good experience early on too. Like he will get better at some point. It just, Imavov was he's kind of ready for that next step. His only loss was Phil Hawes. And even that was a close fight. I think a lot of people actually had picked Imavov winning that fight. But yeah, since then he's beaten Heinisch, and now he has Shahbazyan. So, and he's ranked too, isn't he?
I think he is now. Yeah.
Yeah, if he wasn't, he is now, and he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. Yeah, like you said, he's Russian. I think isn't he even Dagestanian too?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think he was.
It might have said, I can't remember if it was him, but did it say fighting out of France as well?
Yes, with Cyril Gane. He's with Cyril Gane.
Yeah. So I was like a bit confused. I was like, is he French with that name? But no, yeah, Dagestanian out of France. So it's super dangerous. Cyril Gane with you. Oh man, looking for trouble. But also on the prelims. So you got Imavov like doing super well. We're not going to go through all the prelims, obviously, but someone that hadn't fought in 2 years in Iaquinta going against someone that seems to be fighting on like every other card in Bobby Green.
I love Bobby Green.
I was like, why are they matching these two together? You've got hype, you've got practice, he's got, he just steps in and he's like ready to go again. He fought 5 times in 1 year. Bobby Green, he was on like a 4-fight win streak at one point, where he beat Lando Venata and that sort of time. And they put him against someone that hasn't fought in 2 years.
Right.
And has never really beaten the top level people. He's competed at the top level, Iaquinta, but he's never beaten any of the people. It was a crazy, stupid matchmaking decision for me. I bet heavy on Bobby Green. He was one of the ones that I did get a good payout on. I put first round for Bobby Green because I know he comes out swinging and firing shots from his hip, so you couldn't see him coming. Was genius.
Oh, he's so slick too. Like the way he moves in and out too, like you can't catch him. And then they were saying it too. They were just like, yeah, Al's looking right at him straight ahead, like at his eyes, but you don't see his hands coming up.
Mm.
Like they're literally coming straight from the hip. So you're looking at him dead-eyed and you don't see the shots coming. And dude, he landed a massive shot. That put him right out. That one got me going. And I did bet heavy on Bobby Green. The odds were pretty decent, at least for us. I think we had like a -170 early in the week. It ended up going to -190. But yeah, dude, Bobby Green has been like one of the most active fighters in the UFC, has beaten pretty good talent along the way. I think he just recently lost to Fiziev, which is, no problem there.
No problem there.
Dude, yeah, he's been super active, and Iaquinta has not been active at all. And he's on the now 4-fight skid. I think it's just that was not a great match making fight to watch.
Yeah, someone for Iaquinta, I was expecting like a Clay Guida-esque kind of fight for him.
Yeah.
Someone that can do it, not necessarily at the level anymore, but if you want to get, I don't know why Iaquinta's even fighting, to be honest with you. He seems to be like making a lot of money, in his actual job of a real estate agent.
He's from New York, though. I think that was a big part of it. He wanted to be on the Madison Square Garden card, and yeah, he got put out, and the people probably came to watch him, and they're leaving there pretty sad.
Bobby Green's leaving them with or demanding more money, even though he got to pay for it. He said that the bonuses should be more. Yeah, he said the bonuses should be more money, and Dana weren't having it because he gave out, I think, 7 bonuses. Oh
God.
I know. But speaking of knockouts as well, and flashy. Okay, I hadn't really seen him in kickboxing, and this is Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
Okay, this dude looks the real deal. He showed a lot of good grappling defense on the fence.
Agreed.
I know he got taken down once and he couldn't really make it back up to his feet. But that's considering how many fights he's had and how long he's actually been training in mixed martial arts instead of kickboxing purely. Like his attention is now solely on MMA. I know that. He looks like he can take, he's a sponge to MMA. He's already getting the underhooks perfectly. He's creating hit distance. He's hitching over. He's trying to reverse it against the cage. He's trying to make it dirty and then just land clean shots. And that's, it didn't work out great in the first round. He did clip the guy who I don't really know a lot about, other than he is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And obviously that's his game plan to, strip the kickboxer to the mat, because this is probably one of the best strikers in the world. Now, imagine that guy when you get that name put forward to you, he's like, okay, just like a little voice break, a little bit of crying in the corner, and then going, okay, I'm going to get knocked out. Like it was an uphill battle, but it's Alex Pereira is so good, man.
That was scary, not gonna lie. And I don't think a lot of people were aware of like his backstory and everything, but they were talking about it on the commentary, and they were saying he's literally one of the greatest kickboxers to ever do it. Has a knockout over Israel Adesanya. The one thing that I had a problem with was after he had, finished the fight and they were doing the post-fight interview, I was waiting for them to I wanted him to call out Izzy and just be like, I'm here, motherfucker. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And kind of stir the pot a little bit. Cause if anyone can do that to Izzy at this weight class, it's this guy. And now he gets a massive flying knee knockout, looks pretty good on the ground. This guy could make some big moves early on too. And he's 34 years old, but if he gets maybe 2-3 fight win streak going, they'll push him right to the top.
Yeah. Cause exactly. Time's not on his side as it was for Izzy. Izzy was what, late 20s when he joined, like 28.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, right.
So yeah, he's not got the time as much, but again, he's not out of his prime or well, he's not necessarily physical peak prime, but he's not old. We've just seen, what all the oldies can win a belt now with Glover. So you never know with these guys. You never know with these guys. But I'm super impressed with him.
Yeah, he was super impressive. And again, just saying that he was going against a black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, he was able to take him down, but he looked very comfortable. He didn't panic. He found his way up. The dude's 6'4". He has a massive frame. He really has that frame that Izzy has. They are very identical in that regard. So if it ever happened between those two guys at a title fight, that would be phenomenal.
Could you imagine?
I really can't.
2 years time. Is he still got the belt? He's dusted the division. Alex Pereira comes up, starched everyone.
Could be, man. That could happen.
It could be. Especially as the black belt got him to the ground and couldn't pass his guard. I'm sorry,
Right.
What? You couldn't pass the white belts guy? Dude's got some grappling skills. He has. You know, I know he got taken down, but I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah, and
Everyone gets
exactly. Like
taken
it's
down.
so early on in his career. Like he's gonna learn, and obviously he picked it
5
up quick
fights.
already.
5 fights. Like that's amazing. He's already he'll become a star. I really believe he will.
Yeah, for sure. Without a
He'll
doubt.
match him with Darren Till next. You watch.
Jesus.
And then Darren will make it will. Big name, and Darren will think he can take him in a striking match.
Hey, it's got to be someone that if they want to feed him and get him going quick, it's got to be a big name next, you know?
Yeah. Kevin Holland, something, you know, these are the names.
Oof. And Kevin Holland will fight anyone.
Yeah. These are the names I bet he'll get, though. He'll get a ranked top 15 guy, I bet, next, just because of the name.
Oh, yeah. And it's just the tie between him and Izzy. Dana White salivates over that. Are you kidding me? He sees that, like the potential that has in like, a year or two. That's going to make a shit ton of money if it ever happens.
Oh, mate. Yeah. It'll be that meme, wouldn't it? Where Dana's got Dagestan Dana, where he's just got the beard. Or
yeah.
Be him with like a Brazilian flag.
Yep. That's right.
Okay. Moving on to fight of the night. And I don't know who you bet on. I did bet on Chandler going into this. I did. I thought he would, to be fair, Chandler, in my opinion, should have won, but I don't know how much concrete is in that man, in Gaethje's skull, because he landed the cleaner shots in the first round by a mile. He was faster than Gaethje, which surprised me. He came out like a little pit bull, like I thought he would. Very similar to how he opened it against Dan Hooker, but obviously shot Hooker down. Gaethje's a beast, man. To just, and 2 years ago, Gaethje would have lost that fight. I really believe that.
Yeah,
the Gaethje that fought Eddie Alvarez, the Gaethje that fought Poirier would have lost that fight. He would have gone, you know what, bite my mouth guard and just swing. But Trevor Whitman said, calm down. Said, calm down. And I think the leg kick was the biggest thing for me, that he kept maintaining the leg kick throughout round 2 and 3, whereas it was only round 1 for Chandler, which he was landing really good leg kicks, to be fair to him as well. He's proved that coming from Bellator. I slagged him off a lot. I loved him in Bellator, but I didn't think he was going to compete with Dan Hooker. But he is up there. He is in the top 5 for sure. He's worthy of a top 5 UFC placement.
Oh yeah. No, I think that was definitely one of the biggest takeaways too. I remember when Michael Chandler came in against Dan Hooker, I was so out on Michael Chandler just because of the Bellator name mostly. And I just don't like hold them to a higher standard, but dude, he knocks out Dan Hooker. He's like 20 seconds away from potentially winning the lightweight belt. Like he very well could have knocked out Charlie Olives for sure. And then he comes in against Justin Gaethje, a guy who's debatably the next up to fight for the belt. Like he's the number 2 guy, and he has him on the ropes early in round 1. Like that, the energy that came in or out of that first round was one of the most exhilarating UFC fights I've probably ever seen in my life.
It was incredible, wasn't it? And the fact that he could hang on when he got knocked down so bad twice in that second, and then he went full wrestler mode, obviously, grabbed Gaethje's leg, and just he just had this kind of grip underneath the leg, and he just did not let go until they rang that bell. He was playing it completely smart. Gaethje was getting a bit frustrated, like, I can't get him. But also, how good is Gaethje's defensive wrestling? Jesus Christ, that shows how good Khabib is. Like, apples and oranges with this wrestling, man. Michael Chandler's wrestling is like 10% of Khabib's. Like,
in Michael Chandler is one of the best wrestlers in there right now.
He's a Division 1 wrestler, right?
He's the D1 guy. Justin Gaethje, though, I'm pretty sure he was also like an All-American wrestler too.
And Khabib just picked him up and slammed him.
Oh, mauled both of them. Yeah.
Like what? I don't understand.
It doesn't add up.
No, Gaethje had no chance to take him down. He tried. He couldn't do it.
No.
It's just it just shows how good that man was and how much disrespect I showed to him for the years.
It's very true. And, a lot of people were thinking that Chandler would have been the guy to go up against Khabib at some point, but that's never going to happen. But with Gaethje, though, what the great point was, that first round was so chaotic. And the reason that Chandler lost that was because, he's the chaotic fighter. That's like kind of his style. He throws the looping haymakers. Every shot that he throws has the intention to kill you. Mm-hmm. Justin Gaethje was so composed after that first round And that's what won him that fight, without a doubt.
Yeah. I don't know how he still has his head like attached to his neck,
Both of them. Unbelievable. When Michael Chandler was just like egging him on and wasn't throwing up any defense, and he was just taking shots to the face in the third round. What was he doing? What was that?
Just trying to amp himself up. Yeah. Trying to continue. He's getting his ass kicked in that third, but man, I love it. But my main question here is, I've done a video on what's next for Islam Makhachev, and I believe he should fight for the belt. I don't think he should be given another contender. Now, you can argue he hasn't really fought a major contender since Dan Hooker's, you wouldn't say a top 5, but you would say 5 to 10, and a very good top 10 guy. But the reason I'd say I think he deserves it is he's on a 9-fight win streak. He's not only on a 9-fight win streak, he's not taken like any punishment in any fight. He's decimated people. And Gaethje has had a shot at the title and failed. Chandler had a shot at the title and failed. So why not give it to some new blood that also sells in Makhachev? Because you could do Makhachev versus Hooker against Chandler. You could do Makhachev against Gaethje.
I want Dariush.
You want Dariush? Exactly. Dariush. Another name. Exactly. What do you do with Dariush? Yeah. So, but then both of them deserve something. It's going to be sad to watch one go out, and they are going to mirror each other a little bit. It's going to be a crazy one. So you would put Islam against Dariush, and you'd give Justin the title shot.
I would. That's what I would do. And it is hard because Justin just got his opportunity, but that was also against Khabib, and now it's going to be either Poirier or Oliveira. If it's Poirier, then you get the Poirier-Gaethje rematch, which I think a lot of people would absolutely love to see this time around. Right? Like, that blows your mind. But Makhachev coming off of the way that he finished Dan Hooker, a guy who is absolutely a top 10 fighter in that division, is scary, downright scary. I would have no problem if they were like, you know what, Islam, you get your shot now. He deserves it. He definitely does. He's obviously worthy. He is that caliber of a fighter. But the people will riot if Justin Gaethje doesn't get it.
Yeah. So you just think one more for Islam. Get that 10-fight win streak. Yeah, just because maybe it's not the win streak, it's who you fought. It's kind of similar to Leon Edwards.
Right.
He's got a crazy win streak. The last loss he's got is to Kamaru. But who he's beaten along the way aren't exactly top 5 guys all the way. So
right.
It's, maybe he beats the loser of the title shot, or he fights Dariush. If he beats Dariush, if you don't give him a title shot after that, I'll be raging.
Right. It's hard. It's really hard. But I think the thing with Islam is it doesn't really matter who you give him if it's not a title shot. Like, he's going to win the fight. If it's Dariush, if it's Chandler, whoever it is, like, he's going to win. So it's really a free fight. You get to just give Islam to someone else. You give Justin his shot to make him happy. You hope that Dustin wins, so you get the rematch, and then you give Islam the next one after that. That's probably what I would do.
Yeah, I like that. Who would you think would win between Chandler and Islam? Do you think Chandler could hit him once and just, because I think Chandler's probably got the best shot out of everyone, or obviously Oliveira because of the grappling.
Yeah. Oof. Chandler, you'd have to really. He might be the scariest round 1 fighter in the UFC. He has the heaviest hands, and he literally throws with such intention. It's wild. And when he connects, like, you go out. So. And Islam has been knocked out before, so he could be the guy, because Dariush has extremely good BJJ.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to impose himself on Islam. He's not.
No, he doesn't have that style, does he? Whereas Islam's just going to wrap you up. He's just Khabib 2.0, isn't he? He really is.
With the striking too, it's not fair. I don't think. I think Chandler probably has the best chance, if we're being honest. But dude, I just don't see anyone beating him. I don't.
No. I don't either. And because I wasn't on the Khabib hype train, I've not bought it. I haven't gotten off the Islam one yet. I'm riding that to the sun.
You have to, with Khabib in his corner too. This is just the Khabib reign 2.0 for the next 10 years. Who knows?
He's going to become his dad, isn't he? And absolutely just train all these guys to just stardom. He really is.
And I don't love that. Like, I think we might have talked about this before, but when Khabib was the guy and you just knew no one was going to beat him. Like he comes in minus 300, minus 400 favorite every time. It gets boring. It gets boring.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I
it?
always bet against him as well. And always lost.
Yeah, you get plus 500. You get 5-1 odds on it. You might as well, right?
Yeah, that was the way. I lost a lot of money betting against him every time.
Oh yeah, imagine. He doesn't lose. Islam doesn't lose. It's the Dagestanis, man. I'm telling you, the Russian takeover is here. Like you pick out some of these guys' combined records, that it's like 101.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Ankalaev,
it really is. Yeah, Khabib and Islam together, was he 29-0, and then you got 22-1. That's just
ridiculous.
It's just mental, man. Mental. Talking of mental as well. Not going to do all the fights, obviously, but just I put decent chunk of money on Mr. Vera. And
my God,
I think live betting for Vera is probably the answer, because I saw a stat. It's like 6 of his 8 knockouts or something, he's lost the first round.
Yep.
Because he feels you out. And that's that front kick. When he landed that, I jumped up and screamed. That was beautiful. Randy Couture getting front kicked by Lyoto, and Anderson obviously against Vitor. Now we've got Vera versus Frankie, but I think this is the best post slow motion face that I've seen roll around social of Frankie looking like Kermit the Frog getting hit in the face. It was absolutely beautiful, wasn't
it? It really was. And it's tough. Like the way that he fights, like, yeah, you get the feel out round, but that's dangerous in a 3-round fight. You're already giving away 33% of the fight in that first round. And against a guy like Frankie, who in round 2 was still looking pretty good, it was really just that big round for Marlon Vera, round 3. And he was throwing that front kick the whole fight.
Yeah, loved it.
Those kicks.
Straight to the body as well, wasn't it? Trying to slow him down. It was working. The end of that second round, he got up from the takedown like no problem. From the first round, he didn't look like he could get up at all.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a 5-round fighter. Like he's built for that. He'll be the guy who goes in there. He'll give you round 1, give you round 2, but he will figure you out. He will walk you down. And the dude can really do it all. Like his striking is unbelievable. When you can see it when Frankie takes him down, how good he is on his back. Like many a times, like he was looking for a submission. He didn't find it because Frankie's just so experienced to this point that he wasn't going to give him anything there. But the dude is super versatile. He can do it all. And I am a big fan of his. I really wish he didn't have that loss to Jose Aldo on his record, because he deserves more. And that's going to I feel like that's going to hold him back for a little bit.
It shows you where he is in the division though. Whereas Pedro Munoz could not beat Frankie Edgar over 5 rounds. Now I had winning the fight but he didn't get the nod. Whereas Marlon can front kick him and knock him clean. He didn't like the stoppage. He was out. He was like just stumbling around on the floor. He was gone. Marlon Vera should be fighting I'd like to see him against someone like Pedro Munoz, or because he also lost convincingly to Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
And Marlon's just he's not a top 3, but he's definitely he's going to be 8 now. I think he was like 13 or 14 going into this.
13 right now.
Yeah, and Frankie was 8, so he's definitely jumping to 8 and knocking Frankie out the top 10 probably. So, there's for the first time in like 15 years as well, Frankie won't be in the top 10 of a division, which is mad to think.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how good Frankie gets since the Gray Maynard days. But 15 years ago, he won the lightweight belt. And you think this is at bantamweight and how much bigger Marlon was than him. It's scary. Marlon is...
Yeah.
You either put him against O'Malley again to shut O'Malley up, or you give him someone like Pedro Munoz, because I would bet heavy on Marlon in both of those fights.
Yeah, and it's tough now. Like you move into that 8 spot, looking at the rankings right now, everyone above you is a killer.
Who's above him? Cody
Garbrandt's above him. I could say like he's like the fringe. Like, is he still a killer? I'm not really sure. He might even be dropping down to 125, but Merab is after him. Then you go back to Jose Aldo, then it's Rob Font, Corey, TJ. Like it's killers from here on out. So it has to be someone a little bit below him now at 8. So Pedro Munoz at 9 really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, or Cody at that sense. But Cody's fighting Kai, obviously, and that's people are picking Kai a lot in that fight. So these I think Marlon Vera is the best out of all of those, other than the elites, as you just said, from when you say like Jose, Corey, you got Aljo, all those. Even Marab to an extent has proven himself. I think
so.
I think Vera is the best of all of those, like of the rest. Especially with the length he's got. He's got the style to beat a lot of top guys. Just not, he's not beating Corey Sandhagen after, he's not beating these guys.
No, but I think it's crazy too. Like he has a ton of experience, but I believe he's only like 27, 28 years old.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be around for a long time. And when he figures it out, like I still think like he can be a top 3 guy. Like he has all the skill set to do it. It's going to be a tough road. Like he just has to show up when it counts. Cause you give him Pedro Munoz next, but after that, you got to make a stand. You got to beat someone big.
Especially with Jason Pereira in his corner as well. You just see, obviously handles Cyborg, Rockhold now, but not really. But obviously brought Bisping to the fame, once he left the UK and went to America, he went with Perillo and just changed his career. He only lost, I think, twice under Perillo. So, and that's Bisping, Bisping's like a hard work grafter, not like a technical, like gifted, skillful guy. I think the only thing he was blessed with was amazing cardio. But yeah, Marlon Vera's got it all to have, I guess. He's got all the skills for sure. And he's young. I remember the first fight, I think I saw him properly fighting. He head kicked my man, Brad Pickett, when he had no tattoos. It was Brad's retirement fight, got head kicked. And he was winning that. Brad was winning the fight. It was gutting. But then it became a fan of him.
Man. He goes down early and he just always comes back. But it's tough. Like he lost to Song Yadong May of 2020, then he beats Sean O'Malley, loses to Aldo. Like he's been up and down in his career, but he's figuring it out. I do believe he's figuring it out. He beat Davey Grant, your boy Davey Grant too.
Yeah, good fight as well. The Song Yadong fight again was close. Like you could have him winning that. Him versus Davey. He definitely won the Davey fight, but Davey's better than people make out. Just because he wasn't ranked. But these guys, tough guys, man. They're also if you beat an English guy in striking, you're a good striker. Like all these English guys, we strike. That's what we do.
Yeah,
it's very
wrestle, right?
What's wrestling? Don't hit. What's the best takedown is the left hook. That's Michael Bisping's catchphrase. So,
do you think Frankie's done?
No.
Two devastating. Two of some of the biggest knockouts I've seen in a long time at his age too. Oof.
I had him winning 2 rounds. He was winning that fight if it was going decision.
I think so too.
So I don't think he's done. I think he'll be really pissed off. I think he's pissed off with the stoppage because he's so competitive.
Yeah.
I think he was snoring. He was snoring, man. But no, he's not. I think he's got 1 or 2 more in him, but it depends. If he wants to get back to the top, I think he knows heart of hearts now he's not gonna.
Agreed.
But if he wants to just keep fighting, just because he likes fighting, he can keep going. But there's nothing left for Frankie to prove. In my opinion, he should have retired years ago. But all these guys just retire too late. I would have thought Frankie should retire.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that. I think he was on like a pretty big skid at one point, but when he dropped to 135 in his first fight was Munoz, I believe. He fights very well at 135.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The wrestling's still there, his striking, he's quick. Like he still looks really good.
Yeah. I think he might have not wasted is the wrong word because he fought for the title a few times, but he could have been champion at 135 once upon a time when Dominic Cruz was leading. He could have taken Dominic Cruz, held him down. He had a style to beat Dom Cruz, in my opinion. And you could even say he might make flyweight. You see some of these flyweights, they're massive. Someone like Figueiredo is way bigger than Frankie Edgar, way bigger. Yeah. The guy behind you on the wall, he's a monster. He might have wasted
125 though. He shouldn't be at one. Figgy shouldn't be at 125.
No, exactly that. But these guys, he might have not, I don't want to say wasted, but he could have been better at 135 earlier than staying at 145 and getting people like Brian Ortega, who's not a big bloke at all, but he looks like Francis Ngannou next to Frankie Edgar. They're just, he's like 5'10", Frankie's like 5'5", 5'6", just built very, not broad at all, just compact, whereas Brian's long, lengthy, Max long, lengthy. You got Alex Volkanovski, who's just a different breed, but
these
guys.
Yeah, and at 130, like now 135, like Piotr Jan, you're not touching Piotr Jan. That guy's unbelievable. Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font, like even Marab, TJ, like all these guys can wrestle. Like it's not a good time for Frankie to get a belt at 135 at all.
Forgot about TJ. Yeah, he's there.
He's still there. Dude, he beat Corey.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I had Corey winning that fight, and
I think
Corey
everyone
took it
had
out
Corey
anyway.
win. I haven't heard anyone say TJ won it yet. It's a bit
But
mad. I
he's
don't think
getting
it's a robbery, but it was a bad decision.
I agree. It was
Yeah.
just like pushing him against the cage, and he was like 4 of 30 on his takedowns, but he just kept him against the cage the whole time. That it just looked like he was the more aggressive guy. I don't know. Didn't see it.
Bad judging, isn't it? At the end of the day. So we've got 2 more just to go over quickly, and then we're gonna just have a little prediction only on one fight for the next card, which would be Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, which is a fucking amazing fight. It's a shame it's on a fight night, to be honest, because that could headline any card, any pay-per-view in my head. Because you know, Max is arguably the GOAT of that division. Jose is for me. But what did you think of Rose Weili? Because I scored it a draw. I had 1-2 for Weili, 4-5 for Rose, and I scored 9-9 in the third. I had that razor close.
Dude, I
know some people that went Weili. I know some people that went Rose. I went straight down the middle when I was scoring that live on my verdict.
Oh God, that's tough. I personally thought Weili won it. I thought she took 1, 2, and 3. I did. I don't know, but it could go either way. Like I'm not upset about the decision.
No.
Like I wasn't shocked that they chose Rose, and you could clearly tell as the fight was going on, like it was heavily shifting into Rose's favor. Like she's an absolute monster with the 5-round fights. Weili was getting a little bit tired, a little bit sloppy with her takedowns. Rose was gaining top control, reversing position.
Yeah.
Like she was doing really good. Unbelievably close. I thought Weili did a great job in at least the first 2 rounds. I thought it was like pretty clear that she came out strong and she won at least those first 2 rounds, like pretty clear.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it was pretty clear, but also the statement of you've got to beat the champion to be the champion has never been more true. I don't think Weili did. Like if you look at the fight as a whole, just as no rounds, just a full fight, I'd say Rose wins. I think Rose beat her up. Like she was more convincing. She did when she did damage to her, she did more damage to her. Yeah. And you could one of my buddies scored the last round as a 10-8 to Rose because it was just full control. Took her down super early, held her down the whole round.
But she didn't have any ground and pound going. That was my only
issue
with her.
It was just a whole round of control. So it's how do it is so, subjective to how you score a fight individually. But I've seen so many people argue that Weili won the fight. And it's just, it begs the question of like, in these fights, do you do boxing scoring still? Like the criteria is so, it's what is what, and the judges disagreeing on certain things. And, I'll talk about it in the next fight as well, because one judge scored the Colby fight 49-46. It's right. I don't know who the fuck saw that fight, because I saw it 3-2. Unless you scored one round as a 10-8 for Kamaru.
There's the knockdown round.
But it's just, yeah. I mean, I'm not unhappy Rose is the champion. I wanted Weili to win. I bet on Rose, so I'm kind of happy there. But I think there's not many contenders kind of left in that division, other than maybe like a Marina Rodriguez left. Yeah. So I think Rose was dismissing it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure we'll see Weili a few more times fight for this belt, if not hold the belt.
Yeah, I thought what was weird to me too was, so she clearly thought that she won the fight going into the 5th round, because Rose scored that takedown pretty early on, and that was an awesome takedown on her.
Yeah,
and, she shot right in for it, ripped her to the ground. And Weili didn't do anything. She didn't make, if there was a sense of urgency, if she knew that she had to win that round, I think we would have saw a much different round. But the fact that she just kind of took it, laid there, makes me believe that her team and her personally thought that they won that fight. And I was sitting there, I had bet on Weili. So I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you got to get up. Like there's a little bit of sense of urgency here. So it's just that, that 3rd round, you literally, I don't know how you could feel comfortable going into that 5th round, knowing that all first 3 rounds were super close, but the 3rd one in particular was razor thin.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so her team must have thought she banked the first three, but
Yeah.
no,
No.
not at all. But super high level, awesome to see Weili. She's got good grappling, man. But when she got a bit tired, Rose's grappling came out on top. You know, she's just really, you forget how good Rose is on the ground. Her early days were just strangling people, and then steps in with Trevor Whitman, and she becomes, knocks out Joanna, and from there just striking phenom. Her movement's just quality.
She is amazingly good, and I think I fade her in pretty much every fight, and I always regret it. I always bet the other way, and she always proves me wrong. And it's really great that she's winning, and now she's defending her belt, and now it's, she's up there as like one of the greatest women fighters of all time. You talk about Nunez and Shevchenko, they're still like far and away the better ones, but like she's right there. Like she's held this belt so many times now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you. Which gets us on. Let's talk about the Colby Kamaru quickly as well, then, because I don't know who you had going into this. On my video I made, a lot of people slagged me off because for some reason I thought a lot of people hate Colby Covington. I really like him. I think he's a really funny dude, and he's clearly an act. And I like that I like the fact it rubs you up the wrong way. I really do.
I can't see past his cringiness. Like, do you follow him on Instagram?
Yeah, I think he's hilarious.
You see when he does like the greetings, nerds, and virgins thing. Like,
that is so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny.
I can't see past it. I'm sorry.
I find it hilarious because it works. That's why I like it. It works like a charm, and he's a millionaire because of it now.
Yep.
That dude is he should be on the pound for pound list. He is phenomenal. And if he did what he did in rounds 4 and 5 a little bit sooner, we could have a new champion. He could have beaten Kamaru. He really could have. I had Kamaru obviously winning, especially from that second round. That was just, oh
my God.
How, like, Colby's chin is, now we know what would happen if Jorge fought Colby. Colby would destroy. Are
you kidding me?
Destroy. I said that I think Leon has a chance against Kamaru. I really do. Striking, not anymore. I don't think he has a chance against Colby. I think Leon is the third best guy in this division and will remain only as the third best guy in this division. I think when he gets his shot, he's going to get decimated. I think he'll get finished by both of these guys, Leon. And that's coming from a massive Brit Leon fan.
I know. You're the biggest.
It's so hard for me to say, but I got to be real. Like, when you're putting money down and when you're talking it online and people can listen to you and they can comment back, and the amount of people that give me abuse for not talking up Leon enough. And I'm like, have you watched these videos? But they only watch these ones where I'm like, he's not good enough for that. Like, he hasn't shown me, he couldn't finish Diaz. Jorge decimated Diaz. Yeah. Like, he was like there's something about Leon that's just missing yet, and
that's the killer instinct. If I had to pinpoint it, it's
that, isn't it?
Because he has the tools to finish people, and he Bilal Muhammad, he was going to finish that fight.
Oh yeah. Bilal Muhammad though is like, he just reminds me of MVP a little bit. He can knock out the tin cans, but when it comes to the main fight, it's a point fight. It's just, which is a skill in its own. You got, beating someone up. He beat every minute of every round against Diaz, which is amazing. McGregor couldn't do it. I know they're a bit different fighters, bigger fight, whatever, but it just shows like Leon would beat the shit out of McGregor at 170, like destroy him.
Yeah.
But when just like comparing these guys, I'm just trying to think of a way that Colby can get back in there. And he's just, all Colby has to do is go beat Leon, go beat Jorge. You'll get back another shot. Easy peasy. Because that's easy work for Colby in my head now. And as much as he says greetings, nerds and virgins, and he's saying, like, the only thing that people seem to be applauding him for is he's fighting for like firefighters and public servicemen and all this sort of thing, which you can't really slag him off for now. And he's wearing the MAGA hat and all that stuff and the cheap suits. And he is very smart. And, you saw him drop his persona when he said, love me or hate me, I love you all that sort of thing. That's Colby. And that's what you got to see. But then as soon as he gets back to the post press, he's like, no, the guy's a cheater. I hate him. I'll never respect him. That's why I love him. Because he just pisses everybody off. And it's just, oh man.
But about the two guys, like, just the two biggest takeaways for me is, without a doubt, Kamaru Usman is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in
Yeah.
the world. That's a fact. And
Yeah.
then Colby Covington, without a doubt, is the clear-cut number 2 in that division. And those two guys are, like you're saying, basically light years ahead of everyone else. Like
Yeah.
Colby Covington gives so many problems to Kamaru Usman, and he's done it twice now.
Yeah. And he could have won that fight. He could have won that fight.
I thought he was going to pull it off. And it's insane because his striking is not crisp. It's not fundamental. You know, he's looping. He throws a lot of looping shots, but he was like ripping some of those uppercuts. And what I did like about this game plan, like he did shoot for the takedown at least a couple times. I think he had to at least try that.
He got a takedown as well. The stats said no. He got
it. It said no though.
Yeah, he got it, man. The guy went to he got Kamaru to his hands and knees. That is a pin in wrestling. I know that for a fact. That's
fair.
He got it.
I'll give you that.
All
right, that's fair. I can live with that. If people want to, you know, hold on to that as the
Kamaru's takedown actually is 99%.
Yeah, but dude, Usman defending a lot of those takedowns. The dude is on another level. Like you're talking about Colby Covington, the second best wrestler in that division, and it's not even close. Usman just overpowers him. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He knows how to defend it, and he does it so well. And then the stand-up obviously has just hit a completely new level, and I really wanted him to finish that fight. Those 2 knockdowns were massive. If that fight goes on for a little bit longer, it probably ends. But dude, he was so close. And it's just Kamaru is just he's becoming one of the greatest fighters of all time.
He is, man. I wouldn't put him against St. Pierre yet in the division, but I'm a massive St. Pierre fan. I know some people are. I know Dana is. Dana's said he's the best welterweight of all time. I don't think you could say that just yet after the body of work. If you actually go, I think I saw that it was like Kamaru's combined opponents records like 260 to like 40, something like that, right? Yeah. St. Pierre's is like 490 to 20 something. Like, really? Yeah. So people forget because of new eras and all that good stuff, but the contenders he was beating like Thiago Alves when Thiago Alves was like 18 wins, no losses, and murking people. You know, he's beating the Sean Shirks of the world. Man, you know, Nick Diaz, Dan Hardy's, all these up and comers with so much hype at the time. Carlos Condit, you know, everybody fell to the sword, came back. But, you know, he's just the best. So I wouldn't.
But Usman, it's happening. You know, like Gilbert Burns is a great name. Jorge Masvidal twice. Colby Covington twice. Like people are. Yeah. They're just going to keep feeding him. But you know what I'm going to say, though? Shemaev is probably going to get the belt. Not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I think Shemaev's going to get the belt.
I think he's scary.
If he can continue to cut weight to 170, he's going to get it.
He picked up a ranked guy, a very good ranked guy, up from one side of the cage, walked over the other side of the cage, put him down, started screaming at Dana, get off your phone, and punched him into submission within 2 minutes. He's got more wins than punches absorbed in the UFC. It's insane. God. And remember when they were going to do Leon Kamzat? I'm so happy they didn't.
Oh my God. He would have. I'm sorry.
I'm so happy.
I'm so sorry. He would have got murdered.
I think Kamzat beats him. I think Kamzat is going to be a mate. That dude is so scary. But I think Usman beats him.
The thing with this fight now, twice against Colby, Usman, if we've learned anything, he is human. Gilbert Burns knocked him down round 1. Could have potentially finished that fight. Colby Covington, not known for his striking and definitely not known really for his power shots, wobbled him. He was making connections in these later rounds, and it blows my mind. I just think Usman sometimes doesn't get out of the way. Maybe his head movement isn't there, or maybe because his head is the biggest head I've ever seen. But he gets hit, and he does have a great chin. But he's been stumbled before, so it's there. I can see it happening. Like he's been losing a couple rounds now.
Is the only difference between Colby and Kamaru just power?
I honestly, I really.
Are they basically mirrors?
Technique, but they're so similar in their fighting. It's crazy.
Yeah, one uses more combat. I would say Colby uses more volume, whereas Kamaru hides behind that jab now, which is so good for him. Good. It's so knocked Gilbert out with a jab.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Kamaru Usman is shredded. I don't know how he makes 170. Easily.
169. Yeah, just no problem at all.
He's a physical anomaly. It's wild.
Whereas, like, I think Colby could make 155, no problem. You know?
Think so?
Yeah. I don't think.
That'd
I
be
think
scary.
Dustin Poirier is bigger. Dustin Poirier is bigger than Colby Covington.
Yeah, true.
You know,
That's wild. Imagine if he cuts down to 155, he'd be a monster.
yeah,
He won't.
doesn't need it. No, no.
No,
Why would you? Doesn't have to
no.
cut, and it's probably an easy cut for him, and he's arguably the joint best in the world. So
Right.
Dana White said if Kamaru Usman doesn't exist, Colby Covington is the welterweight champion. So
I believe that for sure.
yeah, for sure, man. Shall we get in before we have to take off? So I know you got places to be, and I've got to go to sleep.
Yeah.
What is it? 10:30. So obviously this weekend we have Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. Yair is back, and it's a wicked fight night. To be fair, I didn't see it coming as headlining a fight night. I thought this fight was gonna be on a pay-per-view somewhere down the line, which I'm happy it's not, because it deserves to be a main event. But we've got Max Holloway coming off a win over Calvin Kattar, which obviously just decimated Calvin. He kind of stood no chance after the first round. Did he break more records just significant strikes? I don't know how the UFC calculates significant strikes, because something significant to me is game changing, whereas they can land like 500 in a fight. I'm like, is it that significant? But that's another thing. But before that, obviously, 2 losses to Alexander Volkanovski. One of them I completely disagree with, being the second one, the split decision loss. And before that, obviously beating Frankie Edgar, losing to Poirier in a razor close war, and then obviously decimating Brian Ortega. So you've got Max Holloway looking sharp still. You saw in the Kattar fight, he's the man still. He really is. Whereas you've got Yair, who takes such layoffs all the time. He takes 2 years off every time he fights, it seems. And the last win he's had was a decision win over Jeremy Stephens. Now, at this stage in your career, you should be knocking Jeremy Stephens out, or sort of finishing, submit, whatever. Jeremy Stephens is a complete journeyman. I remember seeing him knock out Dos Anjos years ago, when he was, I think, 19 years old, Jeremy Stephens. He had the crucifix on his back and all that good stuff. And Dos Anjos was like, he looked anorexic in it. He just didn't look him. If you go back and watch the fight, it's like the uppercut from hell. Stephens lunges with an uppercut from one side of the octagon, runs across, smashes him in the gob, and it's like a slow motion spit, gum shield gone, cleanly knocks him out. It's beautiful. But he got that round 5 knockout on Chan Sung Jung, which he was losing that fight. Obviously, phenomenal knockout. But before that, losing to Frankie, if you remember, Frankie just destroying him, like pinning him to the ground and smashing his elbow into his face. So I'm not really sure what to make of Yair. He's absolutely crazy skilled, obviously, with the Taekwondo, and he's known for kicks. That's the distance creator for him, which is new to Max Holloway. Max Holloway, as far as I'm aware, has not fought someone that with the kicking power, the kicking technique of a Yair. So it's going to be a new challenge for Max, but I'd like to get your thoughts on how Max kind of goes about this one, because he's going to have to approach it slightly different to how he approaches Volkanovski, who's just obviously raw power, pitbull, kind of Michael Chandler style, but a bit lower down. And, Brian, who obviously wants to snatch a neck and uses jiu-jitsu, but also falling in love with boxing. So,
right. This is a tricky matchup. And I think another way to put it is it's a dangerous matchup. And the odds makers are seeing this completely one-sided. Like you're getting Max Holloway, like I think he's like -400 or 500 right now, which is
rightfully so, in my opinion.
For sure.
Like
like you're saying, Max Holloway, the greatest of all time at this weight class. Debatably, you think it's Jose Aldo, but
I'm one of those.
He's been there. He's fought everyone. He's done that. Like he's the dude to beat. Like he's still. I mean, Volkanovski's the best right now, but he's number 2 for sure. And Yair, like you're saying, like he takes a lot of time off. He's had some weird. You remember, like they were like looking for him, like USADA was looking for him, and they couldn't find him. Like he just like disappeared one day and was out of his fight with. I think that was the Max Holloway fight earlier.
Refused to fight someone. Did Zabit got kicked
supposed to fight
from the UFC
like 2 times,
and then got brought back. They cut him, didn't they? And then he was like, "No, I'll fight him." And then they brought him back, and super weird dude.
Super weird. So, but like when he fights, like you always get an exciting fight. Like the Jeremy Stephens win, like that was in Boston. I was at that fight. It was the first event that I've ever been to, and it was electric. Like you see it with Yair, like he's incredibly athletic. The kicks that he throws, like he's a madman in there. Like he'll do like a throwing a kick while doing a backflip and try to knock you out. So he's dangerous, but to me, it's one of those things where you can only go so far kind of pulling those tricks, and they only really work on a certain type of people. And it's not Max Holloway. Like Max Holloway is the most experienced fighter you're going to get. And you got to just be a little more disciplined if you want to beat him. Like I think Volkanovski had it perfectly where you have to destroy that front leg.
Yeah.
You cannot let Max Holloway come forward. You cannot allow that to happen. Once Max starts getting on his groove, like what he did to Calvin Kattar, there's no coming back from that. Very few people come back from that. It's insane. So if I'm Max, I think I just kind of play it cool. Like, the output's going to be there. The cardio is going to be there. I think you just kind of look out for that wild. He likes to do the spinning back fists. He likes to do the 360 leg kicks. Like, you just kind of have your eye out for those big ticket items. But outside of that, I think Max just sticks to his game plan. He throws the cardio or the volume. He has the cardio to go all 5 rounds. It's just death by output. I think he just keeps doing that. Same old Max.
No, I completely agree with you, to be honest. And the great stat about Max is that he actually throws more strikes the further the fight goes on. So if round 1 is, if he throws 100 strikes in round 1, you think that's a lot. Round 2 is 150. Round 3 is 200. Round 4, keep going. It just keeps going up. And I think he has all the records for like the least strikes absorbed with the amount of fights he's got. Him and Volkanovski are ahead of the rest. And I mean, Brian Ortega, I know he lost all the rounds, arguably, other than the last one against Volkanovski. But what he does is not shoot for points. He's the finisher. So you could be losing every round against Brian Ortega, as Volkanovski was, and he nearly died getting guillotined by him. He was wheezing, kicking his legs, screaming, and managed to get it out. But he was so close to just passing out there. So, I think saying that they're light years ahead of Brian is a bit insulting, maybe, but them 3 are definitely ahead of everybody else for sure. Mm-hmm. And then the 2 of Max and Alex are going to be fighting again. Like, there's no doubt. If when, in my opinion, Max wins this fight, it's a when. I think if he gets his front leg chewed up, I still think he wins. I think Yair is going to have to catch him with some flashy shit. So just front, like a Marlon Vera front kick to the face. All this stuff could absolutely happen. I just think Max is too smart for it. He's been planning for these guys. Yep. And you always think, is this the start to beat Max? His takedown defense is insane. His output is insane. The volume, he can knock you out, but he's more Bisping style, punches and bunches, TKOs or doctor stoppage or whatever, throw in the towel. I don't see many ways how Yair can win other than not being lucky, because obviously it's technique, it's skill, but catching him with something quite lucky in a way.
I think that's exactly what it is. Like Max Holloway is the best striker in this division.
Yeah. One
of the best strikers in the UFC, maybe ever. Like the guy just
maybe the best boxer. You could argue that as well.
Right. It's insane. So if Yair, he's not going to really go to the ground. I don't think we're going to see that from him. That's not really his style either. Like, he's a stand-up striker as well. So if it's going to be striker versus striker, you're obviously taking Max Holloway. Not even close.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why it's annoying that the betting line is what it is, because you're not really going to make any money off of it if you're going to bet on this main card, unless you're picking a round or you're finishing, which I don't think he's going to finish Yair.
I don't think so either.
I think it will go the full distance, because I think it's going to be a lot more patient build-up. It's not going to be crowding in the pocket shots like he could do with Kattar because of those kicks. Obviously, he's going to want to close the distance and not get, you don't want to give a kick a distance. You don't want to let him set the range. But Max, he's just too good. I just don't see any way. There's some people you just go, I'm not betting against him ever. And Max is one for me, Yeah.
And it's crazy too. Like he has his title fights with Alexander Volkanovski. His next fight is the Calvin Kattar fight. Smokes Calvin Kattar, who's the up and coming guy. And at this point, he would get the title shot. There's no one else next who's getting the title shot unless it's Giga Chikadze after he beats Calvin Kattar. He's the next guy to get it. But as of right now, I think it would be Max Holloway. And he still says, you know what? Give me Yair Rodriguez. I don't care. Give me another dangerous up and coming fighter. I'll smoke him too. And I'll still prove to you that I'm the best here.
Exactly. That's why he's just a man, isn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just fight anyone, anywhere. That style. Perfect though, dude. Right. That'll call it for this one. There's only the one fight, obviously, for this week. We'll just do a little break on. The cold card is a bit too crazy to go through. My dog's whining at me now. Hey, shut up.